Names are a funny thing. They're how we identify people, objects, and even ourselves. They're a way of vocalizing someone or something's identity, yet we often take them for granted, especially in fiction. It's quite common for writers to just name a character whatever first pops into their head, or at best make a vague allusion to some other well known fictional icon. However, most names have meanings, and I find that looking into those meanings can offer an extra layer of insight to a character, from their role in their story to their personality. Welcome to What's in a Name, where we discuss the etymology behind our favorite fictional characters.
Today's episode, The Taranis, from Fuga, Melodies of Steel. Spoilers for the entire Fuga trilogy ahead. So I've spent the last several months playing through the Melodies of Steel trilogy. For those unfamiliar, it's a strategy game series about a group of young furry children who have to save their home from all manner of BS, really. Nazis, kaiju, techno-organic abominations, the list goes on. How can a bunch of kids accomplish this, you ask? Well, they have a little help in the form of the Taranis, an ancient tank left behind by a forgotten civilization. Although, while the games call it a tank, I feel like a fortress on treads would be a more apt description. While I won't be delving into the entirety of Fuga's backstory, it is still important to understand the basics. The Taranis was actually created by humanity, specifically by an organization called Crusade. See, a really long time ago, humans uncovered these mysterious, hyper-intelligent AI called Juno all around the world, starting in Australia, because of course it's Australia. The discovery of Juno led to all manner of miraculous technological innovations, though of course it also led to the development of horrific war machines that, as you'd expect, wrought havoc and destruction on an unprecedented scale. The worst of these were the Titano Machina, man-made kaiju, effectively. Some began to resent the Juno and the power they held over humanity's fate, especially since these AI, smart and powerful as they were, seemed ultimately indifferent to humanity's plight. The Juno called Minerva even confirms that she's happy to give humans any knowledge they desire, but couldn't care less about what people actually do with that knowledge. Thus, an organization called Crusade began trying to develop technologies that could compete with the Juno and the horrific weapons created with their influence. Crusade produced many impressive inventions, such as artificial people called androids and a mobile 3D matter printer called the Belanos. Their magnum opus, however, was the Taranis, a massive tank named after a Celtic thunder god. Despite its somewhat clunky appearance, the Taranis proved every bit as mighty as its namesake. Not only did it boast a considerable array of weapons like cannons, machine guns, and grenade launchers, the Taranis was also equipped with a weapon of truly devastating power, the Soul Cannon. By breaking down biomatter and energy, the Soul Cannon could unleash a beam of destructive force that pretty much annihilated anything in its path, like the wrath of a god smiting wicked sinners. However, like a wrathful god, the Soul Cannon required a sacrifice, one human life in exchange for each shot. Crusade did find a workaround with this by plopping an android child named Jill into the chamber, whose body was actually durable enough to survive multiple firings, but the experience was absolutely excruciating and drove Jill a little insane, so, not exactly a perfect solution to the moral conundrum. Throughout the Fuga series, however, the Taranis changes in ways that even its original creators could have never predicted. As it turns out, this tank could actually evolve by augmenting itself with compatible technology. The first instance we see of this is in Fuga 2, when it absorbs the remains of another giant super tank to become the Exo-Taranis. Then, in Fuga 3, it converts itself into the Omega Taranis. In this state, the Taranis can not only fly, but it even upgrades the Soul Cannon from a giant killer laser into a device that summons the Angel of Death. But let's back up a sec and talk about the Celtic god himself. Taranis is believed to have widespread influence, with worshippers of Gaelic, Roman, French, German, Swiss, and even Italian origins. He is often associated with the wheel, symbolizing mobility, which may tie into the tank's nature as a sort of mobile fortress. Furthermore, some sources claim that Taranis was worshipped via human sacrifices. While there doesn't seem to be any hard evidence to support this, it definitely draws parallels with the Soul Cannon's need to take lives in order to fire, as we mentioned earlier. Taranis is also said to be part of a triad of gods with Essus and Tutates, though the exact details on these two, as well as the trio's relationship, is rather sparse. That said, and this might be a bit of a stretch, the Taranis' three different forms that it takes throughout the series may be in reference to the Celtic god being part of a triad. But I don't know, I'll let you all be the judge on that one. Despite the deity's fearsome reputation, however, the tank in Fuga isn't simply a weapon of destruction. Much like most gods in most mythologies, this thing has grown and evolved over time, and is even implied to possess some degree of self-awareness. Like a benevolent deity, it answers the prayers of the children piloting it several times to perform miracles, drawing upon its own energies and even the energies from parallel timelines to fire the Soul Cannon without needing to sacrifice anyone. When the world itself was threatened, this tank even managed to achieve its true ultimate form, La Pucelle de Taranis, the Maiden of the Thunder God. By the end of the tale, the Taranis is left to slumber in the cave where it was first uncovered. Though it bore the namesake of a violent deity and was even called a devil by its enemies, its power was ultimately instrumental in saving the world and striking down the wicked beings who threatened its inhabitants. I think it can very much be argued that this simple weapon became a character in its own right by the end, and has more than earned a rest. So, sleep well, Taranis. For now, the storm has finally passed.